Okay, before we get started, I want to let you know that I am wearing pajama pants. I am definitely wearing my pajamas, just so we're clear on that. Hello one, hello all, it is the most pajama ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Teezo Touchdown. How do you sleep at night? This is the debut studio album of singer, songwriter, rapper, producer Teezo Touchdown, starting with his mixtapes that I believe the first one dropped in 2018, which I didn't review, unfortunately. I heard about Teezo Touchdown through people telling me that I should review this artist. He seems up my alley. He's weird. He has nails for hair. So this should be an artist that you should check out, because you love the weird stuff. You love the weird stuff, right? So you might enjoy Teezo Touchdown. But when I first heard him, I felt like he ran more on aesthetic than he did stand out in a weird way when it came to the music. I felt the music wasn't really experimental enough to match his image. But in all fairness, I think that's kind of an unfair way to look at Teezo, and for me to not understand what his style is, what type of artist he is indeed a pop rap artist. So as I heard more singles from him and what he had to offer, my enjoyment and my appreciation, my understanding grew for Teezo Touchdown as time went on and as new singles came out. So even though he is a pop rapper, that just doesn't mean he doesn't bring anything unique. He certainly does. His very nasally, bizarre, eccentric, and passionate singing style are certainly something to behold, even if the song itself doesn't pop out at me, or come to me as a strong topic, or hit me as a strong song overall. Like on the track You Thought with the legendary, eccentric Janelle Monáe. I expected it to be very creative, very adventurous, but unfortunately, it was not that. It does start off a little, I would say, punky, but then it just goes into really bland neo-soul type territory, and I do love some neo-soul, but I don't think it added anything much to this, especially given how creative Janelle Monáe is, how creative Teezo Touchdown is. I just expected more of an adventure, that's all. But I do think vocally I do enjoy the performance here with his falsetto runs, or the really clever wordplay where he says, "Would have thought that we were in Aspen, how cold your ass been." Or sometimes tracks could just come off unfinished, like on the track Sweet, or just uneventful, like on the song Impossible. While I admire the sentiment, and I do think Teezo means well, I don't think it really evolves into anything exciting that is implied here. Like, it's a motivational song, sure, trying to follow your dreams, saying you should just avoid those who are doubting you. But I don't think it really says that right there, and kind of just runs off as a hopeless song just pandering to people's broken dreams. At least that's what it comes off to me as. But I think this thing deserved more of a solid ending, maybe a grand hook, which sounds like it's building, because it definitely has a pumping feel to it, but I don't think it evolves to anything exciting, honestly. And it's no secret that Teezo can be corny, very corny, but he is well aware of the corniness, and I feel he uses the corniness to his advantage. He is very innovative when it comes to the corniness. Like on the cheeky, intimate track, where we get this super colorful, bedroomy style production with gorgeous ascending lyrics, and also cleverly replacing lyrics with sexual content with noises. Yes, noises, more like melodies though. When he's about to describe like a climax, he replaces it with harmonies and melodies. It's very cute, it's very creative, and I definitely enjoy it. I would say melodically and sonically, this definitely comes off to me as what would have happened if Queen, Miguel, and Weird Al got together and just made a satirical baby maker. In the most wonderful way possible. And the vocals, I cannot get enough of the vocals on here. They're so wild, but they're also so silly, but yet very creative, very, very playful. kind of nervous too. Really laying on that pop punk bedroom style quality that I do think comes together very nicely. And speaking of pop punk, that does definitely appear on this album more than once, especially on the opener, where Teezo really shows off his strengths. Like on the opener, where it has these crunchy pop punk style riffs with a super infectious hook. I'm gonna do it anyway. And I think the verses contain a nice variation from sped up rap verse to triplet singing flows. Very speedy, very pitched, very melodic, with lyrics about pushing for your dreams, just doing what you want to do, being a straight up rebel, and just pushing away the faces of antagonistic society. There's also the heartbreaking and tragic commentary on neighborhood, where he is rapping and singing about not eating properly, having paranoia of his environment, and other highly unfortunate circumstances like being homeless, not being able to see his daughter, or to a point where he is even petrified that his daughter may not even recognize him. It's definitely heart-wrenching to take in, and also I do enjoy the pacing of this track. I do enjoy how the story correlates to the conclusion and paces to the theme of the song in a circular motion very well. I know that sounds a little complicated, but you're gonna have to listen to the track to understand what I mean. There's also the very funky and groovy mood swing with these funky chords, chilly synths, and there's just a lot working for this, but I do think that once again Teezo's vocals really steal the show, with a cheeky interpretation of having mood swings where on the hook he goes like, "Wee! Another mood swing." That was bad, I know, but this track is definitely one of a highlight for me, probably my favorite song on the album, and I also love the creative interpretation that he brings here once again, with changing the mood of the song to this beat switch to a point where it goes really dark, with this anthemically epic bridge that just goes right back into the funky production. There are some moments though where the multifaceted tracks do not pay off, no matter how versatile they are, point blank too easy, where it just goes from a bad Alice ripoff to a ripoff of System of a Down that goes into a very underwhelming R&B outro where they're interpolating what sounds like Jagged Edge walked right out of heaven. So while this is a very versatile track, I do believe it's probably one of the weakest as well. There's also the song Familiarity, which is a kick-ass song about fighting against exploitation, against capitalism, being tired of being unnoticed and working so hard just not to fall into the public eye, with a very clever bar on here saying, "I know that I'm a superstar, but no one wants to look up." And I love the pumping beat, the very playful but odd melodies that follow along with it, and honestly probably the most uplifting and inspiring song on this record. Another highlight for me is Daddy Mama Drama, another tumultuous theme track which is backed in the beginning with acoustic style production, talking about a generational curse of being disconnected from family, about not having a very strong connection with them and what also may be toxic, which goes into this angsty emo style punk passage with these revving guitar chords that goes into this blissful, extravagant production with these ambient layers topped with blazing guitars. There's also Stranger, where Teezo is describing his encounters with people who are struggling to find his uniqueness, what makes him stand out, talking about how people always have to compare him to someone else no matter what he does, which is honestly, I could see frustrating because, to be honest with you, I don't think Teezo really is comparable to anyone really. I think he's a standout artist. I think that he is very creative, and I think more people should notice that. But that's not to say this does have a strong ending. I don't think it does, unfortunately. I feel like there are moments where things sound a little tacked on, or maybe not as impactful as I would have liked them to be, where we just get this tacked on, super compressed EDM production. It just doesn't sound good, and definitely sounds like it should have been touched up, honestly. But not touched up to a point where it sounds soulless, but God, it just doesn't sound good on here. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy this. I think this is a solid debut. I do think, in terms of what Teezo should work on, is stronger song structures, stronger song flow. Also, I would say branching out more when it comes to production, when it comes to song progression. And, like, don't get me wrong, I think the guy is very creative when it comes to his topics. I think he's very creative when it comes to his vocals, because I can't really mention or think of anyone else who really sounds like Teezo. So I think he has a really good thing going for him, and I think he's an excellent writer. I just wish this was a little more adventurous and less hand-fisted, honestly. But still, I'm feeling a 3.5 out of 5 on this album. If you've given this a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Teezo Touchdown, How Do You Sleep at Night? Till we meet again.